Hello, and welcome to the video of Mastering Elastic Container Service, ECS. In this video, we will discuss container basics and its benefits. Then I will introduce ECS fundamental components. Container technology has been very popular nowadays. Hundreds of thousands of production services run inside containers. If you are not familiar with container, please allow me to explain. In a nutshell, a container is an isolated user space in which programs run directly on the host operating system's kernel, but have access to a restricted subset or its resources. This produces outstanding portability and isolation. The major benefits of containers are: build once, run anywhere. You can build your container image on almost any operating system. Linux distributions such as Ubuntu, CentOS, Mac OS X, or Windows, regardless. And you can deploy your containers onto any cloud providers such as AWS, ECS. It's that simple. Efficiency and density. Containers are small since they do not require a separate operating system. A typical virtual machine can be easily up to several gigabytes, while a container can be only a few megabytes. So it is pretty common that we run more containers than VMs on a single server. Also, containers have a higher utilization level with regard to the underlying hardware. This results in a reduction of bare metal costs as well as data center costs. Containers are lightweighted. They are essentially OS-level processes, so they start typically within less than a second. Creating, replicating, or destroying containers is also just a matter of seconds, thus dramatically speeding up the development process as well as CI/CD pipeline. All containers processes runs on the same server share the same underlying resources. However, they do not interact with each other. If any one of them crashes, other containers will keep running flawlessly. Containers can be easily horizontally scaling. When there are more traffic usage to your application or service, you can simply scale up by adding more containers. You can also reduce the resource costs dramatically and accelerate your return on investment. Container technology and horizontal scaling has been used by major vendors like Google, Twitter, and Netflix for years now. And finally, containers are operational simplicity. As we've discussed above, containers execute application processes in isolation from the underlying host OS, so that the host OS doesn't need specific software to run applications, which makes it simpler to manage your host system and quickly apply updates and security patches. Now let's take a look at AWS ECS. In a nutshell, ECS is Amazon's solution for Docker Container as a Service. It makes it easy to deploy, manage, and scale Docker containers running applications or services. You might ask, can I just provision a Docker registry and images, then load Docker on AWS EC2 instances? Of course, you could, but with that comes overhead. Management, patching, distributing workload, scheduling, scaling, recovery, and more. ECS takes the pain of managing infrastructure away from those, so that you can focus on building your own images and won't need to worry about managing the underlying infrastructure. The very first component of ECS are clusters. One cluster is a logical grouping of tasks or services. When you first use AWS ECS, a default cluster is created for you, but you can create multiple clusters in an account to keep your resources separate. The Elastic Container Registry, shortened as ECR, is a fully managed container registry which provides easy-to-use storing, managing, and deploying container images. Fargate is a compute engine for ECS. It is a deeper level of of abstraction for container management by Amazon. Fargate allows us to run containers without having to manage servers or clusters. By using it, we no longer have to provision, configure, and scale clusters of virtual machines to run containers. And finally, Elastic Container Service for Kubernetes. Kubernetes is an open-source container orchestrating system for automating application deployment, scaling, and management. It was originally designed by Google and has been widely adopted so far. So EKS is an AWS managed service that makes it easy for you to use Kubernetes on AWS without needing to install and operate your own Kubernetes control plane.